Hello, thanks for joining us here on the Wednesday, the March 11th. If you are joining us live, feel free to drop a message in the chat. My name is John with the Snorkel team, and we're super excited to get to share a little bit more of Snorkel with you here today. I am super excited because I brought a guest here today, who is Margaret Kim from Garden Grove. And Margaret, super grateful to have you here. I was talking to Margaret a couple weeks ago about some of the awesome things that she and the teachers that she's working with there at Garden Grove were doing with Snorkel. And I thought this would be a really awesome experience to share. And so excited that you're joining us. If you're joining us live, feel free to drop in the chat where you're joining us from. Feel free to drop in questions as we go as well, and we'll answer those questions as we go. So with that, Margaret, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much, too. It's a pleasure being here this afternoon. I am in Garden Grove, California, so I would like to know where everybody else is from today. If you wouldn't mind putting that into the chat so we know whereabouts you are. And welcome to Snorkel Like a Pro. Really, you don't need any flippers needed. I know it's only March. It may seem too early to go in, but it's a great way to start that snorkeling. You won't need a wetsuit, and you won't really need those flippers after all.
Well, I did bring my real snorkel, though, just in case.
And then we're going to go ahead and dive in with me to this platform called Snorkel. All right. So the best way to start this off is to really have you experience what Snorkel is like. So you might notice on your screen, there's a topic here called travel plans. And I know that at the beginning of the year in 2026, you might have your destination plans of where you like to go. So if you see that black text, that's going to be the site that you're going to go ahead and put into a tab. At join.snorkel.app, and that purple code is the access code for you to access that. So again, go ahead and type in that for us, and then you're going to go ahead and experience, and just note where you like to travel around the world. And then you'll see some of those tools that you're gonna go ahead and plot where you like to go. So we're going to give you maybe about 2 minutes or so to kind of experience it. And don't forget to log in with Google. And we'll give you some time to do that.
I'm going to do this on my end too.
All right, so I wanted to give you some time to go ahead and submit that response. And I just want to show you what has been received on my end. So as a teacher, if the travel plan was like travel anywhere in the world, I can know that responses are coming in through this site. So this is a teacher side of it. And so you can see how some students have said, oh, if I could travel any of the world, John would say that, oh, he would love to go to Italy. So someplace in Europe, right?
Yeah, you can instantly preview that there. I thought Italy would be a fun one to go to in the summer and go
Mhm.
be in the Mediterranean.
All right. And I have this link up for the rest. You can set your link to however long you like to and you schedule in advance. So I have this up until tonight. So maybe if you feel like, you know what, I want to spend more time on this, I want to see how it looks as a student, then you can go ahead and submit that response later on. So moving forward, here are some of the outcomes that we're going to be taking a look at today. We're going to take a look at some key features that are embedded in Snorkel, and then we'll hop over to the resource library. This is a great start if you've never dabbled into Snorkel. There's really cool resources in the library that you can gather by subject areas and by grade levels. And so I'll go ahead and guide you through that platform and on that site there. And then we're going to go into some real classroom applications. So there is one of the elementary school sites that is currently using Snorkel for ELA, which is English Language Arts, and for math. So I'm going to go ahead and take you there and share some of the best practices and some of the outcomes that are coming about towards middle of the year right now. Okay. So, what is Snorkel? So, Snorkel is a great way to capture students' thinking with multimodal input. And what does that mean? It means really carrying the students' ideas and voice and having the students take ownership in sharing their learning on a platform. Now, with Snorkel, it provides immediate feedback, which is unique to each student. So, the teacher is going to be so busy throughout the day and during their time, and it's really hard to meet that one-on-one every single minute. But what this provides is that immediate feedback that the students will need in the classroom while another teacher is tending to another student. So they get that feedback from Snorkel, and most of the teachers that I've seen have also recommended and said that this is great because students are still doing extra practice at home and they're able to connect, they're able to still be re-engaged. And so it's a really great engagement strategy to really keep them connected. And so this is a great way to kind of get that unique kind of like that feedback that they need to improve and to also be better.
I think one of the things there. Oh, I won't. I won't. I was gonna say something about like why I think that's so special, but I'm gonna let you share first.
Okay. So, why it's so special is because I think it's the student voice, right? The student's voice can really speak volumes in terms of their ideas, and then be able to, put it on, have somebody else not only listen to what they have to say, but then also give them an active voice where they can be felt like they are being heard, and that it captures their learning. Another great way why Snorkel is provides personalized feedback. So it's very unique to each student. And it, again, with that quick, immediate feedback, you can see, like, how well did I respond? Could I try better? It gives students that ownership of, okay, I want to do better next time. And so I know at a particular site where it's catered towards like gifted and talented education students, these students will have the perseverance and the persistence of, you know what, I want to do better than what I submitted the first time. So it gives that opportunity to do multiple attempts, which is great. And then lastly, there's great teacher insights. So I know it takes away the heavy lifting of data analysis. So, teachers are spending a lot of hours throughout the week and even on weekends to analyze students, data that comes in. But Snorkel really does that heavy lifting again in terms of managing. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and categorize this for you. I'm going to go ahead and give you that quick, informative, actionable data that you would need for your class. And so it really does provide that, which saves you so much time.
That's great. The only thing I was going to share there is I think it's so special to walk into a classroom where you get to hear and see like 30 kids talking about their thinking at once. Um, I was a high school math teacher for 10 years, and I I always wanted to, whenever I use technology in my room, I think there's always, the drawback is you can have a silent sort of compliant use of technology, or you can have this really sort of awesome, rich, engaging opportunity. And so when we've built Snorkel, we really tried to focus on supporting those really rich opportunities for students to share, speak, explain, and capture really rich thinking.
Okay. So, how does Snorkel work? So, this is how it works. So, the teacher would assign a question or a prompt, and it kind of gives them an idea to really engage in that problem or the situation or the activity that the teacher wants to assign, and the students record their thinking and their explanations. So they would analyze and reflect. So they would have to annotate. They would use the embedded tools, which I'll show you in just a few minutes. And they would also record their voice and record their thinking. And what happens is Snorkel AI, this is the best part, is where it interprets and analyzes their feedback and provides that feedback for them, and then also gives teacher insights on how students are doing. And the nice part of this is that it groups students. So it's a great way to find out that a small group of students that you feel like, you know what, I need to work with them a little bit more. And oftentimes we use a lot of different assessments, but this is one way to measure that assessment and to have it easily done for you. Okay. I do want to share with you just the differences between the free and the premium. So I just want to share ahead of time with you, like you can still do this with a free account and you would have unlimited classes, you have some activities. You can still assign co-teachers. So if you are if you're in a specific grade level and you want to share and add another teacher to your account or to within your class, you can also have the ability to do that. You have AI feedback. You also have the Snorkel library, which has the pre-built activities in there as where you can create your own activity. And then there's a lot of activity insights. So that's the part where the data and analytics comes in handy. So you can see how the students are doing as they submit their response. As for the premium, you pretty much have everything on the free side. In addition to that, you get the Snorkel coach. You get the unlimited activities. And so that is one positive because then you won't have to, take away or remove an activity to create a new one. You also have your school dashboard, your school library, your school insights, as well as support and professional development. Would John like to add anything to this?
No, you covered it. I think we love to encourage folks to use that free version and you can really keep using it on an ongoing basis too.
Okay. So here is the embedded tools that I mentioned earlier. So if you're familiar with on the screen, if you see the area that's in a green box, those are all the tools that you'll see, such as a pointer, a pen, a highlighter, an eraser, a text box. All these little icons are very similar if you use Google all the time or if you use Seesaw or any other platforms out there. They're all pretty much similar in a way where, it mirrors any of the things that you would see on a different platform. So it's very convenient, it's very helpful and very user-friendly because the students are familiar with these icons. And so this is the embedded tools, which will always be lying at the top of the screen. And so just like you did earlier, as you were trying out the activity called travel plans. Okay, here are the customizable toolbar. So in your settings, you can also configure the whiteboard tools. So you can toggle these on or off depending on the activity that you select. And so, for example, if you're doing math, you might want to turn on that equation tool for the students. And if you want to use certain active tools like the highlighter or laser pointer, you can go ahead and enable that on. If there are certain tools that you feel like, you know what, this is too much for my kids, especially for the littles, you might want to, turn off or disable some of the tools that will prevent students from exploring too much. All right. In regards to accessibility and multilingual support, you can turn on that whiteboard read aloud as well as the whiteboard translate, which is very helpful for any newcomers or if you have some dual language students at your sites. That could definitely help them and take a look at that on-site language support. So by default is in English, but if your students speak another language, for example, the demographics at my district are predominantly Spanish, Vietnamese, and English. So most of the students could have the opportunity to listen in Vietnamese, also be able to record in Vietnamese, and get that feedback that they need in that particular language. All right. I do want to share with you that you can share your activities to Google Classroom, and you can also sync your classes in there as well. So by doing that Google Classroom, and you see that little share button there, you can sync there, and then you can also grab that link and that access code for the students, and that gives them ability to connect in one place. So this has been very helpful, especially because in our district we use Google and we're Google integrated. So this worked out perfectly for our teachers and for our students. Okay. Here is a little GIF on the Snorkel library. So just kind of giving you a preview what that looks like when you go in there to explore. Again, you'll notice that it is by content area and by grade level. So you'll see some for math and for science, reading, a lot of just different subject areas, as well as, some fun activities that students can join in. One of the popular ones have been world languages, has been math, has been ELA. So just being able to do that. And so this is a great way to kind of start it off. And what better way to do it than just to start with an existing one to kind of get an idea. And then as you go through a couple of them, then you kind of get an idea of creating your own. So it's a nice stepping stone for it. All right. So now we're going to dive in and create a snorkel. So the image that you see there is because I'm currently pregnant. And the way I kind of do my snorkeling and go below the surface, that kind of reminds me of myself. So I kind of wanted to show you what that looks like, but I'm going to go ahead and model for you, okay, on how to get started. So teachers and students can sign into Snorkel using their Google or their .NET account. And here are the steps to begin. So you're going to visit snorkel.app, okay? And then you're going to log in with Google. And then once you get there, you're going to go ahead and let me share this with you. I'm going to go ahead and create an activity. So for me, as a teacher, I'm going to go ahead and assign an activity. I'm going to create a new one. And then for the title, I am going to put here, just to let you know, my district, we are going to be on spring break next week. Yes, we have an early spring break. And most of you might have yours in April, or maybe you have it around the same time, or maybe you just had it this week. But I might go ahead and do I'm going to do an ultimate spring break playground. So that's going to be a title of my lesson or my activity. And I'm going to go ahead and do a whiteboard recording. Okay. And this will allow my students to speak, type, or draw to show their thinking. And here's a question that I have. So when I pose a question, I'm going to go ahead and use these embedded tools that you saw earlier. I'm going to grab that T because I'm going to put a question right here on my whiteboard. And this whiteboard is pretty big. You could actually move it around. You can zoom in, you can zoom out. So you have all this space. So it's a nice canvas that you have here. And I already went ahead and pre-typed my questions. So I'm just going to go ahead and plop it in here. Let me go ahead and grab this one. And the question I'm going to think about is, if you were in charge of designing the ultimate spring break playground, what is one unique feature it would have that a normal playground does not? And how would it help kids to have more fun? So I'm going to go ahead and plop that in there. And I am going to keep it wherever I want. So this is very similar to any features that you might use in Google, or just being able to move text around in that Google Slides as well. So the familiarity of using these tools are great for teachers. And so I'm going to go ahead and select Done. And so here I have my title, Ultimate Spring Break Playground. I have whiteboard recording, and then here's the question that I have. Now, instructions is optional. If you wanted to put like step-by-step instructions for students, you can. But I'm going to go ahead and continue with this one, AI feedback settings. So I'm going to select generate from question, which is recommended because I want that feedback. Now, I don't know if you can see the pop-up window, but it asks me to confirm my background. So I'm going to say that it's general because it's about spring break. And I'm going to say that it's going to be for upper elementary because I know that they have a lot of ideas of what would be a great spring break playground for them. So I'm going to go ahead and generate. And then in less than about 10, I would say less than 5 seconds or so, it's going to review what I've added to the whiteboard, and it's going to create that personalized feedback and ask me to verify the feedback settings. So I'm going to confirm. Okay. And so now I have this information and a preview to the right. So here's my prompt. Here are my answers. So as I'm zooming in, hopefully you're able to see that answer criteria. So tell our AI the expected answer criteria for success. So I'm requiring name one specific unique playground feature, explain how this feature would help kids to have more fun, and explain connecting logically to a feature described. Okay, so once I review that, then I could go ahead and assign it. And I'm going to assign it to my first one because it's going to be the one I'm using for today's training. All right, then I have my activity settings. Right now, my whiteboard read aloud is on, my whiteboard translate is on. So if there's any students who need accessibility or multilingual support, you can use that to your advantage. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and assign this. And now, if I were to share my code so you can join this activity, I would say go to activity. And here is that code. Are you able to see the code?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so then with the same link that you saw earlier with the travel plans, you can see that there's a link, join.snorkel.app, and then you have the access code, which is in purple, or you have this copy code here that I could easily push out and share out to a Google Classroom. If you were in my Google class, I would be able to copy this link and send it over to you as a material. Okay. And so if you'd like to try out this activity, feel free to jot this down on a piece of paper or go ahead and add this activity here. But for now, what I am going to do is I'm going to have you, so this one here, I had a snorkel swap. So if we were in person, I would have you turn to each other and, try out a friend's snorkel creation. But we're going to skip this one. And I'm going to have you go into the Snorkel library. Okay. And I will have you kind of either try this activity or you're going to go ahead and take a look. Okay. You can try this one that I just created, or the other option, which I think is probably one that you would be best for you right now, is to go to the library. And how to get there, go to library and go to Snorkel library. And you could preview, kind of explore, by subject area, by grade level, or if you want to go to the general section of, getting started activities, feel free to, try one of these and assign it to your class. So a fun one would be like peanut butter and jelly sandwich. The one I did earlier with you is travel anywhere in the world. Or would you rather? These are great ones too. Okay, so I'm going to have you kind of go through that. I'm going to give you about maybe 2 or 3 minutes. And if you like this particular activity, spoon or fork, mac and cheese, then all you would need to do is you can add it to your library to save it. And then if you wanted to assign it to your students, you can assign it, select the class that you just created, click on next, and then try the different activity settings. You can schedule this as well. So if you wanted to start at a particular date, you would just have to select the down arrow and the due date, right? Just very similar to Google Classroom, and you could go ahead and schedule that too. All right, so we'll give you about a few minutes here, and then I'll bring everyone back together in about 2 or 3 minutes.
And I dropped the link there in the chat if you haven't opened up Snorkel before. Also, feel free to drop questions in the chat if there's something you're wondering about. Would love to be able to answer those and support as well. Margaret, these getting started activities I feel like are so fun at all age levels. Like I've done these with adults. I've done these with high schoolers. And I think they're a hit with everyone.
Oh, yes. Yeah. It's a good exposure too, like to get started. So it's always nice that there's something there.
Yeah.
And then when you practice a few activities, then you kind of get an idea of like, oh, okay, I can create one on my own.
Right. It's low stakes. It's low stakes. Yvette will miss you, but we'll hope they'll get the recording here right after this is over.
And if you found a great activity that you just added to your class, feel free to add it to the or add it to the chat so we can see which one you're gravitating towards and which one really caught your attention. Or maybe you created one on your own.
I think that ability to create one on your own is really powerful just because it means you can use it with your own curriculum. You know, as I think about it in my own classroom, wanting to keep this scope and sequence of what we're doing, I wasn't necessarily wanting to go off course and some other, you know, a random quote unquote activity, but the ability to actually use something directly from my curriculum, I think is really powerful.
Oh, yeah.
Elizabeth said in the chat, a great question here. Thanks for this question, Elizabeth. I noticed that there are some activities in the library that do not support whiteboard recording. Is there a way to add recording to it? So there's, do you want to take that one, Margaret, or do you want me to talk to that a little bit?
Oh, you can talk to that one.
Yeah, great. So there's 4 different ways that you can set up Snorkel activities, as Margaret was just showing there when you're creating your own. So it's the whiteboard recording, whiteboard only, audio only, and the writing. Most of the activities that are pre-created in the Snorkel library are whiteboard recording activities, although you will find some that are whiteboard only, just audio recording, audio only, and writing. You can always change the activity type by adding that activity first to your library and then selecting it from the options. Could we actually show that, Margaret? If you want to just take that, take one of those getting started activities.
And then
add to my library button. There's a banner that will pop up there. If you click on that banner, it'll bring you to the library and that activity, and then great. And there's that drop down, so you can actually adjust that activity type here. The one that's a little bit different is the writing ones, just because the writing ones don't take place on a whiteboard. So transitioning between a whiteboard to a non-whiteboard is sort of a funny transition. You'd have to do some extra writing there to fill in the gaps, but you could easily switch that to audio only or to visual or back and forth.
And these activities are great because not only do you get to edit these activities that are already there, but you could also try as a student. So you'll see it on the upper right-hand corner, right before the purple button, Assign. You can go ahead and try as a student. And then you can start your response. So as you can see, for the student side, you'll have, again, the feature being called out, audio only, instructions. And this is nice to have too. So for students who struggle with reading, they can click on this audio icon here, and then you would be able to hear the question being read, right? And then the students will be able to start their response. So this is what it would look like student-facing wise. So if the students were to see these, they'll be able to record their voice here. So hopefully that's helpful. All right. So we've given you a couple of minutes to go ahead and explore some activities, possibly add to your library and to assign. Or if you're really excited about Snorkel and you're like, I want to create my own activity, you probably already created one too. So thank you for participating in that and just being able to try and explore together. So I wanted to call out on student progress. So here is an example of a class and all the different activities that are in there. So when you look at progress, there's a progress tab here. So you can kind of get a nice pulse check or a temperature check to see how the students are doing with all those different activities. So as noted, you might see color-coded numbers here from 0 to 4. So 0 meaning that's a point value all the way to 4. And you'll notice that, as students are making progress, you'll notice that the scores are there real time. So that's one opportunity for you to kind of get a great idea and some insight on the students who are in your class. Additional data and insights on this one here is that the nice thing that Snorkel does is it does really take off that heavy lifting that a lot of teachers put their time towards. So automatically when students are done submitting their responses, it'll categorize and group students with either correct, incorrect, or incomplete, right? So it's great to see that really quickly and just being able to take a glance at a view of like, okay, from the best tries to the latest to everyone, how did they do? And so it's really nice to get that all on one screen on one page and just being able to scroll up and scroll down and see, how did my kids do overall? Okay. You also have an option to leave teachers feedback for students individually. So you can go to individual student screen, and towards the bottom, as you can see down here, you can type a comment on this response and you can also send it to them. So this is a nice way to provide that individual feedback from the teacher and not just relying just on AI, but also that human touch that's being put forth to the students. So usually the positivity and the encouragement, and the students know, like, oh, my teacher, commented on this one. And so they really find value in that as well. So it's like a team effort that just happens to appear. And so it gives them that motivation to even do better. All right, so our next port on our cruise together is Allen Elementary. It is one of our schools. It is a gifted and talented education site, but doesn't mean that they're all, scholars. They have different kinds of behaviors. They also have different academic ranges, and there's always some challenges and some concerns too. So I just want to go ahead and take you on to our next port and show you some examples of some students there. So here is a second grade math example, and this is one of our students. And as you can see, I'm going to have you watch this and explain.
So as you can see, we are, so I see that we have to not include the 15. So let's cross that out. So now we have 65 minus 38. So basically, she cannot minus, if she has 5, she cannot take 8 away. So that means we have to multiply it. So that we have to basically changed this to a 15 because we added 10. And then this 6 took away a 10 that gave it to the 15. And then now it should become a 5 because it's in the tens place. And now basically we have 15 minus 8. So then we have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. How many dots are there? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So basically this one is correct. But now that we have 5, then this has to be a 2. So that means we have to cross this out. And then this is going to become 2 because 5 minus 3 equals 2 because 3 plus 2 equals 5. The answer would be 27. So, and the mistake she made is that she didn't know that you have to minus 5. She forgot to change it to 15, but she forgot to change the 6 to a 5 so that it could become 27. Because 5 minus 3 does not equal 3, because that would equal 6, which was the old number. So that was the mistake she did. Thanks.
And I really want to highlight for this one, it's a second grade student. Her name is Ellie. And as you can tell, she was sneezing, she was coughing. She's kind of going through all the symptoms I'm going through right now, inducing a cold, being all congested, and having that runny nose. But she persevered, and I kind of want to highlight that to you. And you can see that on the right-hand side of the screen, this is Snorkel AI and the feedback that it provides. So Ellie has a very strong understanding of this math concept. And then I'm going to show you another student, a fourth grader. And this is Bixby. And Bixby here, I wanted to highlight that he had 2 attempts. So his first attempt here, this is what Snorkel AI showed. He didn't have a really strong understanding like Ellie did, but you could tell that he did not just stop there. He went.
Alright, so basically it's asking us to multiply 23 times 15. Basically, I already did like the box math using the area model. I already solved everything, as you can see here, but I'm going to tell you the steps right now. Basically, the first step, I'm going to look at that 10 and the 20. Multiply that. So one easier way is 1 times 2 and add the 2 zeros that you see and you get 200. That's your answer for that box. Next one, 5 times 20. Honestly, you can do the same method. 5 times 2 equals 10. So you write 10 and add that extra 0 in the 20 and then you get 100. And then after you do 10 times 3, which equals 30, that's pretty easy. And then 5 times 3, that equals 15. And then the easiest part is you just add them all up, which 0 plus 5 equals 5. So that's 5 down for the ones. 3 plus 1 equals 4. That's for the tens place. And then 3 plus, sorry, not 3. 2 plus 1 equals 3. So at the end, you should have 345. Thanks.
Okay, so you can see here on his first attempt, he got 1 out of 4. And then on his second attempt, he got 4 out of 4. So way to go, Bixby, for showing that grit and perseverance. And I know he was also going through that cold as well. And just being able to explain so thoroughly, step by step, and using that AI feedback to make it even better helped him improve immensely. All right. And then we're going to switch gears over to that was math samples. And I wanted to show you some reading samples. So this is Emma in fourth grade. And she reads the questions and the passages, but we just kind of want to jump into the portion where she's citing textual evidence. So I'm going to go ahead and play that for you. And she got a 4 out of 4 for this one.
So we have to find a piece of evidence that makes her, that tells that she's feeling nervous at the beginning. So I have one. It says Maya's hand was shaking as she walked into her new class. She didn't know anyone and her stomach felt full of butterflies. All the other kids seemed to know each other. This passage really is really important because it shows how Maya's nervous, and it says identify a piece. So we're gonna do hands were shaking as she walked into her new class, did not know anyone, and her stomach felt full of butterflies. Well, this shows how Maya is nervous because when your hands are shaking and she's walking into a new class, that means you're very nervous. Sometimes you may not be nervous when you walk into a new class, but this time it has a piece of evidence from that sentence which says her hands were shaking. And usually that means when you're anxious or worried. And the second sentence, it says, she didn't know anyone and her stomach felt full of butterflies. That means for example, it's kind of like a metaphor. When butterflies like fly around your stomach, it feels weird. You kind of maybe have a stomach ache. And if you have a stomach ache, you're worried or anxious. And she also didn't know anyone. And also all the other kids seemed to know each other, which made her even more nervous because she said all the other kids seemed to know each other, but she thought that she was the only new student. Thank you for listening.
So that was one great example to show you about the reading and how she's bringing that textual evidence. And so this could be definitely in all different subject areas. I kind of wanted to show you some samples in math and reading. And now I'm going to go ahead and ask and pose a question to you that you can feel free to answer in the chat. Whether you are a teacher or whether you are an educator, or maybe you might be an administrator, how could you see Snorkel being used in the classroom? So we're going to talk, have you think a little bit and then maybe share in the chat. We'll do a waterfall chat where you are just typing away some of the classroom applications and how might you see Snorkel enhancing your learning applications.
While folks are responding to that, I just think those student examples you shared, Margaret, are so powerful. Really just such a cool opportunity to get to hear what they're thinking. And hopefully they feel celebrated by the feedback that they're getting and supported if they're not getting it all the way there at the first time.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And, you know, our team was even talking about like how we're getting ready for LPAC. And I don't know if a lot of, you know, where you're all from, but depending on that, it's the English language proficiency exam, right? And so having our students give the opportunity to listen and speak and providing those avenues and those paths. And so a way to strengthen that and even to make it better.
Yeah, that's great. We just recently added a new feature where teachers can actually add audio clips to their whiteboard as well.
Oh,
and so students can listen to that audio clip and respond to that audio. So also get practice with the listening piece.
All right. Well, let me go ahead and these are some of the classroom applications that my team and I came up with. And so depending on the subject areas, you might find this relevant to you and applicable, or different opportunities that might work out for you for reading, like fluency practice, response to literature. SGRI accountability. So that acronym is small group reading instruction. So when you have small groups, keeping them accountable. So again, practicing reading passages and then being able to answer a question and cite evidence and so forth. And having them to listen to each other's. So in Snorkel, you have the ability to collaborate and to comment. So that's one of the features that is excellent for that, excellent practice. There's also writing. So you can do writing feedback and you can also use it as a brainstorming opportunity. And then for math and science, math, definitely math fluency and math discussions. And in science, it'd be great for creating and explaining a model. So these are some. I know that there's probably more that could be added to this, but these are our like go-tos that we thought Snorkel would be very applicable for all students. All right. And with that, I wanted to thank you and hopefully see you on the next dive. It was great snorkeling with you below surface as well as above surface, and hope you have a great rest of your day.
Margaret, thank you so much. And some the comments are rolling in here in the chat from Stormy and from Susan about just different ways that they're using Snorkel as well, about for writing, for language learners, for having students practice speaking and listening. Yeah, it's been really fun to get into classrooms and get to see it. So huge thank you again, Margaret, for sharing and share just both from your experience, as a educator and leader, but also sharing a little bit from the experience that your students have had at Snorkel. I think that's really special.
You're welcome. It's great snorkeling with everybody today.
All right. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. And if you need any support, please feel free to reach out anytime, support@snorkel.app, or you can reach out to me directly, Jon, Jon, @snorkel.app. Take care.